Hi friends, welcome to your first day of e-learning. Today we are going to be looking at lesson 9.4, constructing polygons. So our success criteria says I can use technology to draw polygons. You'll do some of that on big ideas tonight. I can determine whether given measures result in one triangle, many triangles, or no triangle, and I can draw polygons given angle measures or side lengths. So let's look at our first information here. It says, Mrs. Kim says that she can make a triangle out of any 3 pieces of wood. Is she right? Prove your answer. So, unfortunately, Mrs. Kim is not right in this case for a couple of reasons. First, if we had side lengths, let's say that these were 2, 3, and 5. If you were to fold down the 2 and 3, this would actually form a straight line. Right, those sides would collapse down on themselves, and it would form a straight line, not a triangle. Another example, right, might be if we had sides, let's say now that these were 2, 4, and 7, right? So this one, the sides are not long enough to meet, right? So if you folded these down, right, 4 and 2 units, right, you would still have this kind of gap in the middle, right? It wouldn't end up closing the triangle, right? Where this one, if you had the 2 and the 3, right, that would form just a straight line if you folded those down. So explain what you know about the 3 sides of a triangle. So what we know is that the smallest side plus, we'll call it the medium, added together have to be greater than the longest side. Okay, so what I mean by that, well, let's look at these examples below. So if I look at these examples below, right, the smallest side is 3, the medium side is 4, and the largest side, or the longest side here is 5. So if I add those up, right, 3 plus 4 would give me 7. 7 is greater than 5. So yes, this forms a triangle. Okay, if we looked at the next one though, right, my smallest side is 2, my medium side is 5, okay, and if I add that up, I get 7 is greater than 8. Okay, this is not true. Therefore, it does not form a triangle. Okay, so if they add up to be greater than, forms a triangle. If they add up and it's less than, right, then it does not form a triangle. All right, our next rule here is Mrs. Simzak says that you can make a triangle out of any 3 angles. Is she right? Well, let's take a look at that. So if I drew a shape that looked like this, right, this does not form a triangle, right? The sides are not touching. Okay, another example, right, so we could do the same thing. Okay, and let's say that these angles, I don't know, are 100, and that looks to be about the same. We'll call them both 100, right? So here, we can see that we need an acute angle. Okay, so remember, an acute angle means that it has to be less than 90 degrees, right? And we need that in order for the sides to touch. So explain what you know about the three angles of the triangle. We know that the sum of the angles must equal 180. Okay, and again, let me go back to this example up here, okay, where 90 and 90 does add up to 180. Okay, we don't have a third angle in this picture, okay, so that doesn't work. So we need all three angles, right? The sum of all three, right, angles must equal 180. Then I wouldn't need the word the, right? The sum of all three angles must equal 180. All right, so let's look at these examples here. So if I have 30, 60, and 90, so if I add 30 plus 60 plus 90, right, that would be 90 plus 90, right, that does equal 180. So yes, this forms a triangle. Okay, if I look at the next one, let me switch colors, right, 60 plus 60 plus 100, I get 120 plus 100. Here I get 220. So no, this does not form a triangle. All right, now moving on to Mr. Madsen. Mr. Madsen says that you can make a quadrilateral out of any four angles. Is he right? Prove your answer. So no, Mr. Madsen is incorrect. The sum of the four angles in a quadrilateral must equal 360. So if we were looking at some shapes we know, right, so if I drew a rectangle or a square, right, I know that 90, right, all the corners are 90 degrees, right, so that would add up to 360. Or if I drew maybe some kind of kite-looking piece, okay, I could divide that into two triangles, and I know triangles are both 180, right, so that would also equal 360, right, so I know that if it has four sides, it's going to total 360. All right, so knowing that, let's look at these examples below. So if I'm adding these together, right, 30 plus 70 plus 110 plus 150, okay, 30 and 70 is 100, 110 and 150 would add to 260, 100 and 260 would equal 360, so yes, this is a quadrilateral. Right, and then looking at 7, right, if we looked at 7, same idea here. If we added those up, right, 90 plus 25 plus 50 plus 70, or 170. Okay, and remember you can add them in any order that's easiest for you. So I'm going to add 50 and 170, and that gives me 220. Okay, I'm going to add the 90 and the 220 next because that's easier to do for me. So that gives me 310 plus 25. And if I added those together, I get 335. So no, this is not a quadrilateral. Okay, and then last one down there, if we added those, 45, 105, 70, and 140. So here, that would add to 150. 70 and 140 would add to 210. 150 and 210 does add up to 360. So this one would also be yes. All right, guys, that is it for today's notes. So go ahead and log on to Big Ideas, and good luck with your homework.